It's hot out there, but let's blow them off the line of scrimmage. Headline,
Live from the Ram Cave, I'm Joe Terosian, and this is Ram View, the November 26, 2025 edition, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident? Need help? Got questions? Call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. That's Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. And check out KistlerLawFirm.com. That's one word. Click on that QR code. Kistler Law. They've been fighting for you since 92. And by Temple City Auto Repair. Having some auto issues? Get yourself some John and Henry at TempleCityAutoRepair.com. And of course, new friend of the show, sports ball games. Make game day funner for you and your crew. Play sports ball. Play for a hill of beans or jelly beans. Sports ball games. Be sure to check that out. All right. Hey, guys, I know I'm on early. I know a lot of you aren't going to be here. This isn't necessarily a holiday thing. I got a hospital run, my day job. Got to go see somebody at the hospital, and it's just what it is, right? It's we all have our stuff come up. So I'm going to blast through here. If I see some of you, great. Be sure to say hi. But I need to get this done now, or I might not be able to get it done again. All right. So looking at the Rams and the Panthers. Before we go to the Rams and the Panthers, let's just make sure we've got this clear. Say it with me. Joe T was right about Emmanuel Forbes. I was going to write, say it, you pancake eating dudes. Joe T was right about Emmanuel Forbes. Okay, now we can move on to the business of the Panthers real quick here. Panthers don't have a serious pass rush, and they're going to be missing people in the secondary, and that's bad mojo against Matthew Stafford and the 2025 Rams. This is early. We're going to do another assessment of this on Friday or Saturday morning, but right now, this looks like how I looked at that Dolphin game last year, where the Rams had no business losing. They have no business messing around. You guys saw Bryce Young on Monday night, right? You saw that. The only way Bryce Young and the Panthers beat the Rams is if the Rams are thinking about the Cardinals, thinking about the Lions, or still celebrating their win over the Buccaneers. This is a hard one for, I don't know if it's hard, but it's something that McVay needs to focus on. They need to go into Carolina and burn that mess down. And there's no excuse for it if they don't win. There might not be an excuse if they don't win by 10 points or more. But they need to go in there. Panthers don't have a serious pass rush. They're missing people in the secondary. J.C. Horn is also in concussion protocol. They lost Corey Thornton, who they kind of had some high hopes for. He's gone for the year with a broken leg. And Trayvon Morwig, the safety, is suspended because he took a shot beneath the belt at Jawan Jennings on Monday night. So, yeah, the Rams need to take care of business. Also, they're going to take care of business against a bunch of guys that they said in the last 4 or 5 years they don't want anymore. The Panthers just signed Robert Rochelle off of the Cowboys practice squad. Their starting safety this week is Nick Scott. Bobby Brown and Ashawn Robinson are along their defensive line. Christian Roseman's been playing at linebacker for them, but he's on the IR. And their starting center, Austin Corbett. All these guys got a ring with the Rams in 2021, as did their DC, Ijero Evero, who spent 5 seasons with the Rams from 2017 to 2021. Now, Nathaniel Hackett took him off the Rams staff in 2022 to be the DC in Denver. And, of course, we know how it worked for Hackett. So Evero was given the boot when Sean Payton came along. He went to Carolina to be Frank Reich's DC. Frank Reich got fired. New head coach David Canales decided to keep Evero. So Evero is surrounding himself with guys that he got his ring with, right? Rochelle, Scott, Brown, Robinson, Corbett, Christian Roseboom. Just pretty interesting there. The Rams have no business losing to the Panthers. None. If this is the game that they have to lose to, I'm not going to like it. We shouldn't like it. But if this is the game they have to lose to keep focus from here until February, okay, I understand it. We've seen that kind of stuff happen before. I'm going to talk about when we get to the game stuff, I'm going to talk about something that happened between the Chiefs and Cowboys when I was a kid that I loved it when I saw it, hated it when how it played out in that season, but we'll get to that. Real quick here, you saw the Rams re-signed Wyatt Bowles. They had put him on the street, brought him back to the practice squad. We thought that was going to happen. I thought Tanner Ingle was going to get called back, but Tanner Ingle so far, no bueno. He is kind of old, 26, for getting into his first action. Let's just keep rolling here. Looking at the around the NFL and other places, Buffalo Bills signed Brandon Cooks, so that ends that dream. And people are still speculating about OBJ. Rams, I still think, need a third receiver. Tutu Atwell's coming off the IR, but no one has established themselves, or McVay has not established anybody as the third receiver. You would think at 10 million rocks a year that that Atwell would be established as the third receiver, but we saw when Atwell was playing that Akers was not Akers. I'm sorry, got Cam Akers on the brain. That Jordan Whittington had surpassed him in snap counts, right? So that is something that's still in play there for the Rams. But Brandon Cooks won't be that guy. Rams need to decide who their third receiver is. Chargers designate Omarion Hampton to return. That's critical for them. I don't know if they're going to get him back this week or next, but he has been dedicated or designated to return. Oh, yeah.
They come and they go, Hobbs. They come and they go.
Speaking of former Rams, the Seahawks waived Darian Kendrick this week. Really interesting. And they signed Cam Akers, running back. That one kind of surprised me. I thought Darian Kendrick might have had a shot there. People were whining or upset when Darian Kendrick got put in the street by the Rams, then of course being signed by Seattle, but he's had no impact up there. And of course, Tariq Woolen plays when he wants to play, and Devin Witherspoon are pretty deep, and then Emanouari's up there. There's a lot of talent in that secondary, and they moved off from Darian Kendrick. So there you go. Also, former Rams kicker Lucas Haversick was cut by the Packers. He made a couple kicks for them. Patriots put left tackle Will Campbell on the IR with an MCL. All right, guys, you know the scoop. I'm Joe Terosian. I was a sports writer for 21 years, and now I do Ramview thanks to our sponsors at Kistler Law, and be sure to check them out. Also, Sports Ball Games, new friend of the show, fledgling organization there. We're happy to help them out and connect with them, and they'll tell you if you're looking for a way to bring your crew together on game day without the gambling stress or fantasy overload. I could see a Thanksgiving living room doing this. Try Sports Ball Games, free pick'em and squares, live leaderboards, and bragging rights built in. One click and you're in. No fees, no spreadsheets, no headaches. Just sports fun for your whole group to enjoy. Whether you're cheering from the break room or the backyard, Sports Ball Games makes every game day a team event. Play for fun, brag for real. www.joinsportsball.com. Also, you know that this allows me to keep my day job, these sponsors here, and my writing. I've written a book. My last book came out last September, Game Day in the Ram Cave. Be sure to check that out on Amazon. It's in soft cover, ebook format. And if I make the decision to pull the trigger, it could come out in AI audiobook form very, very soon. But I'm not sure if I want to do that. My day job is I pastor a small church in Burbank, Burbank Faith Nazarene. And we're right here on YouTube at Burbank Faith Virtual. And of course, BurbankFaithVirtual.com, Burbank Faith Virtual all across social media. And that's what's playing in today, why I'm on early and why this will be a short broadcast. So before we get to the games, let's just remind everybody that Joe T was right about Emmanuel Forbes. All right. Steve Ramirez, thanks for joining me, Steve. For me, it seemed like the 1970s Rams always played bad in New Orleans, either losing or barely winning when they should have won easily. I agree. Those games in Tulane Stadium, in the Superdome, something about the Big Easy, Rams never played great games, very seldom. Today is the anniversary of the Flipper Anderson game. Now, that was a much better Saints team there in, what was that, 88 or 89? That was 89. I was watching it with my roommates at the time, and that was the Flipper Anderson game. What no one remembers too, I think that was the game where where Kevin Green hurdled the blocker, and I think he tackled Dalton Hilliard in the backfield. But that was a good Saints team. Where they really struggled, what drove everyone crazy was they were playing Bobby Scott, right? They were playing Arch Manning and the Miracles. There was no one else there. And yeah, they'd sneak away a win, but it was never a good win, right? Never a good win. And there was always something that went on down there in Louisiana. You're so on the money with that one, Steve. All right, let's look at Thursday's games. Packers at Lions. Great opportunity for Micah Parsons to make a big splash on a big stage. If he does, maybe I'll back off on him a little bit. Cowboys have won that trade. He has not moved the needle as much as Colin Cowherd and everyone else in the KBM said he would. If you remember, after week 2, Packers might as well have been crowned, according to them, channeling some Dennis Green. But they've been okay, and they've been kind of stumbling their way through. 7-3-1 is not a bad record. I still don't want to go to Lambeau in January, but they haven't looked dominant, right? Not at all. And not even Mike has looked dominant. He gets some cheapies there that fill out the stat sheet, but I don't know if he's been special. Lions at home. I'm going with the Lions at home, and I'll issue an apology to Micah Parsons if he makes a big splash and the Packers will win. If he picks up a cheap sack or two and he's down 40-14, then he ain't getting 0 from me. But I'm taking the Lions at home in this one. Chiefs at Cowboys. Chiefs are 6-5. Cowboys are 5-5-1. When I saw this game, because I'm taking the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys are the better team right now. Chiefs are struggling a little bit. I'm hoping for an Ed Podolak 3-touchdown performance from Kansas City. On November 10th, 1975, I remember watching Monday Night Football. The Chiefs, under Paul Wiggin and Mike Livingston at quarterback, go into Dallas. This is post Buck Buchanan, post Bobby Bell, post those great Chiefs team, post Hank Stram. Lynn Dawson's on his last legs. I think he plays in 75, but he doesn't do anything. And they're going into Dallas, and everyone, this is going to be a blowout. It's going to be a blowout. And the Chiefs won 34-31. Ed Podolak scored 3 touchdowns. And here was the interesting thing about that. And this is what I was thinking about in terms of the Rams if you lost this game. Now, everyone's going to jump ship, right? Everyone's going to jump ship if the Rams lose in Carolina, right? And I think everyone can be angry, but I wouldn't jump ship. If you need that wake-up call, if you need that bad moment to remember what the taste of a bad loss is like, then I can see that happening in Carolina if it happens, because it happened to the Cowboys in 75. An inferior Chiefs team went into Dallas and won 34-31. Ed Podolak scoring 3 touchdowns. I think Matuzak had a scoop and score. Jan Stenerode was hitting bombs from 50 yards, and they pulled out that win. Cowboys had missed the playoffs the year before, and it didn't look like they were going anywhere. But that 75 season was the year of the Hail Mary in Minnesota, where Drew Pearson pushed off that no one wants to talk about. And then, of course, they came to L.A. in January of 76 in the NFC Championship game and kicked the Rams' butt 37-7. I know. I was in the closed-in that day, worst day of my life. So this is why I'm looking at this game, is that could the Chiefs beat the Cowboys? Because I think anything can happen in the NFL when I'm thinking about the Rams and Panthers. So I'm rooting for the Chiefs here. I don't want the Cowboys to go on a run, but this was the game that made me remember that game in 75 and what the Cowboys did the rest of that season. And I was relating that to the Rams. But Chiefs at Cowboys, I'm rooting for the Chiefs, but I'm picking Dallas. Bengals at Ravens. Lamar Jackson doesn't look right, borderline old. Kyle Hamilton has ankle issues. The offense is only so-so. They weren't overly impressive against the horrible Jets. So what you have in the last game on Thursday is you have an offense that can't score versus a defense that can't stop anybody. How does that work out? You always talk about the offense that can't be stopped versus the defense that can't be moved. Who's going to win? No, this one is an offense that can't score versus a defense that can't stop anybody. Who wins this one? And the interesting thing here is Joe Burrow is playing. And so I'm really anxious to see how that plays out. And I'm going to say this too. I'm not saying Pittsburgh is great. I'm far from a Steeler fan. I think they butcher everything. I think Omar Khan is overrated. I think Tomlin is done. All those things. But I think we'd be kind of foolish to write them off, given how the Ravens are winning right now. They're winning, but they're not winning impressively. And it's because of their schedule. They had a really nice schedule to get them to this point, and their current health. But Joe Burrow getting a hot hand, if possible, could really derail things. I can foresee something. I want to take the Ravens, but I wouldn't be surprised to see them lose to the Bengals, get upset at home. And then I wouldn't be surprised to see the Bills beat the Steelers and see both those teams fall to 6-6. I think the AFC North is still open between those two teams. So there we go. All right, some guys clicked on. There we go. Chuck Knox reading your books in AI. I don't know, man. I don't know if Chuck. I love Chuck. I'm a big Chuck guy, but we all know how it worked out with Chuck. Mikey Gutierrez, I thought we might be caught in a trap game this week, but I trust the team to take care of Carolina seriously after picking off Purdy 3 times. Yeah, Purdy wasn't great on Monday night. Wasn't great at all. What I'm worried about is that there is familiarity between the Cardinals, right? Cardinals are going to be up for the Rams. It's a division opponent, right? So they're going to play tougher. I worry more about Arizona being a trap game. If the Rams lose in Carolina, I don't think they will. I think they should win significantly in Carolina or by an easy margin and everything. I think if they lose in Carolina, then the Cardinals are dead meat the next week. The Rams will not be overlooking the Cardinals. So that's what my thoughts are. $5 Steve, what are the odds of a Rams-Seahawks NFC title game at SoFi? As long as it's at SoFi, here's the thing about the Seahawks, right? And we haven't gone through this just yet, the rest of the schedule. They're really, we used to talk about Cooper Kupp dependence, right? They're really JSN dependent. Rashid Shaheed had 2 catches. He didn't do anything yardage-wise. Cooper Kupp had 2 catches. And then, JSN had 8 catches against Tennessee. How do you not get your offense going really big time? Everybody eating big time against Tennessee. So I have my doubts, and I've always had my doubts about Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold at SoFi or a Ram team playing on what would be their home field. We know the playoff game last year in Arizona. I like the Rams' chances because Sam Darnold does not scare me. Sam Darnold's going to show up, right? At some point, Sam Darnold's going to show up. So outside of book sales, Seahawks Rams would be a good one there. Let's see, ESG. Losing to the 49, losing to the Panthers. I'm sorry there. Let me get that up there. That's a good question here. Boom. Losing to the Panthers after the 49ers beat them, it's just going to make the 49ers think they have a chance at the Super Bowl. Please win, Rams. They're dreaming. They're so dependent on Christian McCaffrey. I think it's a miracle McCaffrey has lasted this long. And I think bad weather going to Cleveland, that's going to be really, really tough on them. That's going to be really tough on them this week. $5 Steve. I was in the opening section 3 for the Cowboys. Oh, wow. Wow, you were in the open section. Really? Awful day. Awful day. At least you got to see Capoletti score. Let's see here. Steve Ramirez, when it was 27-0, I got a view of the Cowboy cheerleaders. Okay. Oh, there you go. Bill, was anybody activated from the injury list? Not officially yet. They're expecting Atwell to be back, and that's supposed to be back, not designated. I could be wrong on that, but that's designated. That's back, not designated. So we'll see how it plays out. I was told Atwell was going to play. I wasn't told. I heard Atwell was going to play this week. So I want to see it because I think they have to find a third receiver. Okay, real quick. Friday, Bears at Eagles. This one should be fun. What a coming out party it would be for the Bruins here. If they went into Philly and won, people would take them real serious. But I'm leaning with the Birds and the world champions here. Even though they've got their issues, I'm still leaning to the Eagles. Sunday, Rams at Panthers. I think the Rams should win by 10 plus. And I don't care as long as it's a win. And when they're up by 10 plus, can everyone just send a nasty note or a vibe to McVay to get Matthew Stafford out of the game? Good. There we go. 49ers at Browns. I've taken the Browns in this one at home. I'm supposed to be bad weather. Yeah, I'm going with the Browns in this one. Texans at Colts. I've picked against the Texans enough this year. I'm going with the Texans in Indy. They're the hot team. And Davis Mills, Davis Mills playing himself into starting someplace else next year. Saints at Dolphins. I'm loath to take the Dolphins, but I'm taking them. They're 4-7, and they're playing hard. Falcons at Jets. Who's playing quarterback for the Jets? They should bring back, I don't know, Al Woodall. Does Al Woodall have any time left? Babe Pirelli. Who can they bring back? Pat Ryan. Who they got? Browning Nagel. All those guys would be better at this juncture of their lives than whatever the Jets are putting out there. So that's why I'm taking the Falcons. Rooting for the Jets, though, right? Cardinals at Buccaneers. Right now, I'm going to take the Cardinals because I don't believe in Teddy Bridgewater, and I want to see what the injury report looks like for the Buccaneers. Now, they are getting Bucky Irving back. I do know that, and Godwin should be more involved in the offense this week. I could change this on Friday, but right now I'm taking the Cardinals. Jaguars at Titans. Colts are bleeding. Texans are ascending. Jaguars are still in the hunt. They're not going to mess around with the Titans. Vikings at Seahawks. As wonderful as it would be, I don't think it's going to happen. Seahawks at home against the Vikings. Raiders at Chargers. Jim Harbaugh really puts the knife into Pete Carroll's swan song as a head coach in the NFL. Bills at Steelers. I was hesitant on this one. I'm taking the Bills. And then Sunday night, Broncos at Texans. I'm going with the Broncos. And then Monday night, Giants at Patriots. I'm taking the Patriots. Although Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, they got some guys that can get the quarterback. And Will Campbell is now on the IR for the Pats. All right. Let's see here. Bill, I love to see Aaron Donald. I love to see Aaron Donald agree to play 50% of the snaps and coach on the sideline. That would be awesome. Oh man, that would be awesome. Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen, but I think it would be awesome. Micah Gutierrez, good to have you, Micah. McVay said Atwell will play, and Witherspoon is getting close. All right, cool. Samuel Ansley, thank you for joining us. I do appreciate you saying hi. All right, let's get to this.
It was a stone group, my man.
Again, I'm not trying to rush you guys, but I've got a visit I have to make. On this date in 1956, the NFL held its draft. And of course, it applied. These players didn't come into the league till 57, but the draft for that class of 57 was happening in November of 56. Listen to this draft class for the Rams on this day in 1956. John Arnett, Del Schaffner, Jack Pardee, Billy Ray Smith, and Lamar Lundy. That is a heck of a draft class. Billy Ray Smith had great years with the Colts. People forget that Jack Pardee was an institution with the Rams for like 14 seasons. Jaguar John was a legend at USC. And Del Schaffner. Del Schaffner had a really nice career with the Rams and then the NFL. And Del Schaffner is an interesting character when you think about how the Rams moved him and what they got in return. I can tell you. Do you want to know? Because it's really, really interesting what they got for Schaffner. Schaffner was with the Rams for 4 years. He was All-Pro twice. And he was traded to the Giants for the number 2 pick of the 62 draft. Do you know who that player was? Del Schaffner was translated into Roman Gabriel. Yeah, that was pretty cool. On this day in 1982, the Rams waived Billy Waddy and Cullen Bryant. That was at the end of the Malavasi run, and that was a real dark time for the Rams. That was everything with Georgia coming to fruition. Now, she saved a lot of grief because John Robinson came in and was stable, and they did pick Eric Dickerson. Great. But why would you trade Wendell Tyler to the 49ers? Unbelievable. All right, cool. And then tomorrow, couple of things there. I wanted to get this one in is November 27th, 2000. And this is one that was really interesting to me. November 27th, 2000, the Rams waive backup quarterback Paul Justin. Okay, what's the big deal there? Well, if you're watching some of the highlights, and I think maybe it was America's Team, Justin was Kurt Warner's backup in Super Bowl 34. Remember, went from Trent Green to Kurt Warner and the legend, right? But Warner's backup that season was Paul Justin, former Arizona State guy. I think he'd been a late round pick of the Bears earlier in the 90s. And they were talking about how Warner was just getting crushed by Javon Curse and that whole Tennessee defense and everything. And they were talking about, will he be able to go out and play the second half? And the guy that would have gone in for him would have been Paul Justin. And of course, Warner went back in, hit Isaac Bruce. Mike Jones makes the tackle, and the Rams get their Super Bowl. Great moment. But have you ever been left in the on-deck circle? You ever played ball, and you're the next one? You're in the on-deck circle, and you're hot. You know, you're ready to get in that box because you know you're going to crush the ball. And the dude that's in front of you swung on a 3-0 or a 3-1 pitch and popped out to end the game, right? Can you imagine what Paul Justin was thinking? I know he's a good teammate. He's rooting the best. But it's like, oh my gosh, this is my shot. This is my shot. If Warner goes down, if Warner can't answer the bell in the second half, this is my shot. And that was his shot. Moonlight Graham of the Super Bowl world. He never, ever got there on that field as the quarterback. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Every time I see Paul Justin, I think that. Finally, Adam Archuleta, first-round pick, 20th overall by the Rams out of Arizona State in 2001. Had a great run with the Rams, 15 sacks, 3 TDs. However, he signed a massive contract with the Redskins. Rams let him walk. I think for a time he was the highest paid safety in the NFL. And he had one season with the Redskins, and then they put him in the street. Bears signed him in 2007, and he was out of the league by 2008. I bag on the Rams for a lot of things in that era. He was one of the few good draft picks they made, but they made a smarter decision by not re-signing him. So there we go. All right, we're almost at the 30-minute mark. $5 Steve. Let's see here. Pardee was one of my favorites when I discovered them in 69. Pardee, Gabe Snow, Jones, Olsen. Yeah, again, these names, you know, again, when I came in, Pardee was this old, bald linebacker with the Redskins because 72 was my first real season. And it was only half of it. And I saw that Super Bowl. You talk about a guy getting beaten up. You know, I was talking about Warner getting beaten up. Larry Brown in Super Bowl 7 just got hammered. But that's who Jack Pardee was to me. And it's only as I gained more years that you realize he was a Rams institution there. And then the shame of it is, it was kind of all forgotten, right? No one really remembers who he was. Absolutely. You know, Snow and Gabriel are remembered. Merlin Olsen is remembered. Deacon Jones is remembered. Now, maybe that's because, Pardee ended up having that career with the Redskins, head coach in the NFL, USFL, Oilers, Skins, Bears, all that stuff. Maybe that's the reason why. But, Gabriel spent years with the Eagles. Snow was an announcer, so he stuck around. And, of course, Merlin Olsen never played for anybody else. And Deacon Jones only had a cup of coffee with the Redskins in 74 before calling it quits. So, yeah, but Pardee is completely forgotten as historically as one of the legendary Rams. If somebody out there wanted to say, hey, let's put a trophy up or a statue up or something up of Jack Pardee, I think it would be fantastic, but I doubt very much if it would happen. Okay, guys, I'm coming up to the 30-minute mark. I got to go. Like I said earlier, I had to do on early. I do apologize if you're watching this later because this is not the time I would ever go on. Got to go see somebody at the hospital, and nothing major. Nothing on my side. My family's fine. So thank you for being with us. Have a great Thanksgiving, and I'm going to try to pop on as much as I can. We will see you soon.